Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rich and Turbo Heavy Half Hour. You get just Rich today. Find me on Exit Fuzz Doom Rip, all the socials at rich.paiva, as a reviewer for Beauty of Metal and as a Doom Charts contributor. I'm super excited to have Harlen from Bog Wizard join us today. How you doing, Harlen?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
Good, good. So exciting times in the Bog Wizard camp, as we were just talking about. October 31st, new record called Satanik Panik with two Ks at the end of each of those words. And I've had a little bit of time to spend with it and love it. So congratulations. Couple days, it'll be coming out. What do you want to tell everybody about the new Bog Wizard record?
So it is out, like you said, October 31st, Halloween night. This is probably our last full-length album for a little while. We actually, this was a planned release for last year. We ended up doing Journey Through the Dying Lands instead. It was supposed to be a small project turned into a really big project, so it became the whole year kind of thing. So we actually had all this music on the back burner from last year. It was going to be last year's release. We finally recorded it. I actually think because we spent that extra time with it, it actually got a little bit tighter. We refined things a little bit more. It was like another entire year in the tank to just cook. And I think it's pretty sweet. And we actually just got in the vinyl. I don't know if it's going to actually focus on it.
Oh, looking good. That's exciting.
And the pressing turned out amazing. You got to show it off.
Let's see. Oh, it's awesome. Very cool. Very shiny. Oh, yeah. Side B, even better.
But yeah, so this week I'm calling it the Week of the Wizard because we are going absolutely nuts. Tomorrow night we're going to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan at the Pyramid Scheme, one of our favorite venues, see shows and participate in shows. We're going to be there opening for Crowbot and the Atomic Bitchwax.
Ooh.
Slumlord Radio. So we're really excited for that one.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a huge show to be opening up. So is it? I know you guys have been around for a while, and I know that for those of us who know and have been fans for a while, we kind of know. But is this would this be one of the biggest shows that you've done with some of the biggest bands you've opened for?
It's probably some of the bigger ones. We have a hard time catching opening slots. There's not a lot of bands that are kind of adjacent to us that are sort of bigger that come up this way. We're a little bit further northern Michigan. A lot of them end up playing Detroit, that kind of area, Chicago, and we don't quite have the ins that a lot of the other bands who are already down there do. So we actually have a hard time catching a break on opening slots like that. Grand Rapids is kind of our closest one, and that's still an hour and a half drive south of us. We got lucky with this one. We've been kind of keeping talks with Nate, who does the booking out at Pyramid Scheme, and we finally put one together that he's like, I think you guys would be a good fit. We tend to lean a little more doomy, and that's a little bit more stoner kind of rock, stoner metal sort of stuff. So we're gonna play some of our more stonery jams and some of the stuff on the new album, like the title track Satanik Panik's real upbeat, and that's gonna be a real good one for it, I think. We're gonna be playing a bunch off the new album, a few old ones. We're really excited about it. So yeah, we're very stoked. We unfortunately we were supposed to. I know you've talked to Jason Doom about the Doom Fest. We were supposed to play the
going to ask you about that. I saw some pictures. Pictures.
That probably, the way the crowd looked, that probably would have been our biggest show ever. And it was really unfortunate because I handled the booking of that one with the venue. I did the flyer, most of the promotion. I got the bands together. Jason helped a little bit when we had to do a fill-in. But for the most part, that was like my show that I put on. I was helping Jason out by doing that one. And then we hit a deer on the way there, just about totaled the Bogmobile.
Oh, man.
We had to turn around. We were about 45 minutes heading down there, and it took us about 4 hours to get back home. Just every 10 minutes, just kind of stopping and letting it cool off and refilling it up full of water. And yeah, it was a nightmare. That was very disappointing after a year of planning and getting everything together. So we're hoping this week will kind of make up for it a little bit.
The one thing I'll say is I'm glad everybody's okay, because I don't think people who don't live around that potential risk, that could be fatal. Those kind of accidents. Yeah. I'm glad everybody's okay. I actually had a deer hit me once. I was driving. had an internship at a nuclear waste facility, which
Okay.
could be a Bog Wizard song. I think we could probably work out. And as I'm driving there, I just hear "baboom," and I look back and I see something limping away, and it just sideswiped me.
Didn't even see it.
Yeah, thousands of dollars in damage, blood in my grill, and but yeah, it's always
we were on the freeway, and where we are at, it's actually the speed limit's 75, so we
oh
were
wow,
80, of course,
jeez.
when we hit this deer. And my initial, we knew we were fine right away. So like I think when we started telling people, they're like, "Oh my god, are you guys okay?" We're like, "Oh yeah, no, we're fine," because we knew right away we were fine. We knew we were fine. The gear was fine. We were more worried about the show at that point. Like, we were so disappointed that we couldn't make it down. We were tempted to try to keep going and just like, we'll figure out how we get back when we get there, but that would have never worked. We actually we pulled into the driveway of my house at midnight on the dot, which is exactly when we were supposed to go on stage in Grand Rapids. We pulled into the driveway and the car froze up, locked up, stalled, and it would not turn back on. So we just sheer force of willpower, the wizard's power, we managed to get it back home.
But let's hope the trip to open up for Crowbot and Atomic Bitrex is a smoother, less animal involved ride.
We unfortunately have to take 2 different vehicles this time, because that was our main vehicle that had all the room to haul everything. Now we got 2 smaller vehicles we're going to take, and so be a little more on gas to get there. But I mean, at least half the gear will get there if one of the cars goes.
Well, to tie that kind of in, you mentioned Satanik Panik, the title track of the new record, kind of being more on the stonery side of things.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bog Wizard is not going to be for everybody, but I would say that maybe this record is probably the most accessible Bog Wizard record. Am I wrong? I don't know. Like,
we honestly, we're still kind of waiting on impressions. The reviews haven't come in quite as quick as I expected. Doing a release, I think there's just a lot going on. It's like Halloween time.
October is also the most ridiculous month for releases. Like, I do, as a Doom Charts guy, I have to do a list of 25, and I made a joke that can I do 50 this month? Because I mean, just last week, it was pure insanity. But I feel like,
I mean, I think in general, like, we've never kind of defined ourselves as like a doom metal band necessarily, or a sludge metal band, or a stoner metal band. Like, if we want to do something light, we're going to do something light. We're making music that we want to hear and we want to play. Sometimes it happens to be really heavy, droney doom. Sometimes it happens to be upbeat, like Melvins-esque, like stoner. It's just kind of what comes out of us at the time. And I think this album has a good mix of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I don't think we're for everybody, but I think everybody could find something they like in our discography and in our songs. And like this album in particular, I think we've got such a wide selection. There's like the blackened doom metal kind of adjacent song with Necromancer, Satanik Panik. We've been calling it like a Melvins-esque sort of track. That's our real like stoner upbeat one. Dragon's Horde, it goes from there's almost power metal influences into that, and then it has its really heavy, almost death doom part at the end of it. And then I mean, I even have the track Mind Goblin. It's just a little like ambient track I used. I played my handpan that I have, and we actually got this old air organ a friend of the band gave us before they were moving down to Florida, actually, funny enough. And they didn't want to take all this stuff, and it was an old music teacher, Bob Parker, rest in peace, unfortunately now. Very, very well-known local guy. He was like the music teacher for everybody around here. But anyway, he gave us this old air organ, and it was nasty and dissonant, all the keys stuck, and we were just like, Colby, here, like, figure out something to play with this handpan part that I came up with. And he just sat down and he ended up cranking that out, and we're like popping keys out while he's playing it. It was so funny how it worked out, but the thing was so just airy and kind of gross and dissonant. And I was like, it sets the mood for what I was trying to shoot for with that track.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And it's more like an ambient kind of thing too. So
there's a little bit of something for everybody. And the Swamp Golem returns, which is...
So we call it Rias Glophum. It's riding inside a swamp golem like a fucking mech is what that stands for. Because we're very story driven. A lot of our music, we have a story. We have the Bog Wizard itself, and every album we're kind of adding to the lore of him a little bit. And with Journey Through the Dying Lands last year, we did that anthology book. And I wrote a short story about the Bog Wizard, and it was him kind of going out, and he had these needs and these desires for his miasmic purple smoke. It's all tied in together, and he ended up almost dying in that story. He ends up, long story short, he comes out of it, comes a little bit more enlightened, discovers a new source of power, and realizes that these swamp golem creatures that he's creating, he could actually just climb inside of it and take the swamp with him. Instead of having to send these things off into territory that he couldn't go, he just goes and rides inside of a fucking swamp golem like a mech.
I love how you've built like this universe that, and I have like, I think of things that I enjoy, like I love David Lynch and Twin Peaks, and I love The Simpsons, how they built a universe, and I love bands who build a universe, and you guys have done that. And another band who we've had on the show a couple of times, Day Tripper. Not sure if you've heard their records, but
I don't think I have. No, actually.
Check them out. I've had them on the show both twice. And they have this entire story about the Day Tripper, and they like the first album was kind of a setup. The new EP that came out last week is a prequel to what's coming next, and it's all like a story. And I think that's very cool to like build universes.
I mean, we're big nerds. Like ultimately, what it comes down to is we're writing about what we know, and we're into fantasy, we're into storytelling, we're into creating worlds. That's just like what we are into. So we're gonna obviously, that's our muse for our music as well. Like that's what we're gonna focus on. Like we're a very tabletop RPG, Dungeons and Dragons kind of based group, and a lot of our MO for writing music is influenced by that as well. Like there'll be times where I'm pacing back and forth in front of Ben, our guitar player vocalist, and I'm just like, okay, so the Bog Wizard's doing this, he's going here, then what happens? And he's like, okay, what if we do this? And I'm like, okay, let's go that route. And we end up forming this whole song, and then we're like, okay, now how do we convert that to lyrics? We have like a point A and a point B we want to get to, and then we write the lyrics to match it. And it's almost like I'm the dungeon master.
I was gonna say, like you guys have kind of built your songwriting process around kind of like a D&D almost game or session or yeah.
And that's why our first EP we called a campaign, because it was just like a campaign of a D&D session. Like it was this overarching thing that we were putting together, and it's not because we're trying to come up with a gimmick for it. It's just what we know. That's how we are creative in that way. We bounce ideas off each other. We haven't gotten to the point where we've rolled any dice to like decide a point in a story, but I've like thought about it. Like I had a big goal where I wanted to have a song that at one point it was either going to get really doomy or really upbeat, and it was going to be based on like a D20 roll. And my idea was have like a giant D20 and like roll it in the middle of the show, and then it's like the last of the song. Well, I was like, that might be going too far with that.
Or your set list. I love stuff like that too. Like, back in the day, I was kind of I was very into punk rock and a band like Less Than Jake, and I love what Less Than Jake did. They like put their track list on their record just by shaking the Magic 8-Ball and deciding based on the Magic 8-Ball like what order to put the tracks in on their record. Interesting stuff. Satanik Panik, interesting title. Also going back to my childhood and my parents, Catholic parents, not wanting me to go over to the kids' house who, had the Dungeons and Dragons stuff and had that vibe going on. Is that a little bit of where that came from, that title? Or
absolutely, I've always been really fascinated. Like, well, first off, let me say, like, I was fortunate enough my dad actually played Dungeons and Dragons. I like inherited his dice when I got old enough. He's like, here, I have my giant bag of dice and his miniatures and all this stuff. I got all his old books, and like, so I was like, I'm not coming from like a point of like I was oppressed and not allowed to do these things, but I've been fascinated with the concept, and I've been really amused with the idea that like heavy metal music and Dungeons and Dragons and all these things that we are very into were so demonized and so just demonized in general. Like the society was pushing back against it, and it's like these are just outlets for people to express themselves and to have fun and to jump around and to just sit and be nerdy and roll dice, and like and taking that and bringing it into our music has always been really funny to me. to do heavy metal music about the Satanic Panic era while singing about Dungeons and Dragons. My biggest goal is if we ever got protested, that would be the funniest thing. I hope that happens someday.
The 80s was a weird time because it's just funny. Like people, for example, who don't know Judas Priest, don't know the band Judas Priest. And I know people who I have exposed them to Judas Priest relatively recently, of people of my age. And they're like, why was everyone so scared of Judas Priest? This is like heading out to the highway. Like, what's scary about that? Well, I'm like,
looking back, like Kiss, Kiss was like, oh, they're evil demons, and they're like, I'm gonna party.
Exactly.
Easiest stuff.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. Obviously, somebody said that they were knights and were kids in Satan's service at some point, and somebody played a Judas Priest album backwards, and the band got sued, and all that stuff happened, and Tipper Gore and all that other shit that went down. But like, you look back on it, and you're like, yeah. I mean, really? And then some of the stuff that came out, 90s and after, I mean, just purely just evil, some of that stuff in kind of the best kind of ways, and sometimes the worst kind of ways. But
we've never been able to take ourselves that seriously either, so I feel like it's a good thing to hit on for us. Like we tried, like Ben and I, when we first got together as like a two-piece, we tried to like take like the grim like band picture, and it just didn't work. Like we couldn't physically do it, and we ended up doing like some better shots later on with Colby, our bass player, and we were just like, yeah, like cheesy. Like it's my favorite picture we've taken of us, because that's like our attitude behind the band. That's what our entire MO for the band is, to not take ourselves too seriously, make what we want, just jam out and have fun, basically.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's
stories.
and I think that's you're lyrically and musically, you're very much an escape band. Like, you're in this fantasy world. You're not hearing anything about politics or what's going on or how terrible the world is.
There's a fair amount of that in there too, but yeah,
it's a little more hidden than what you might get in some of the other stuff today. Now, lyrically and the approach, I definitely understand where that's coming from, but I'm interested to hear musically where you guys kind of started out from, your influences, and if there were like directions that you were going in as you formed the two-piece and then ultimately the trio.
Yeah, I think Ben and I both, I think as teenagers in the early 2000s, we both had our new metal phase. So, I was listening to that kind of stuff. System of a Down is actually surprisingly a big influence on me as a drummer. Him and I actually learned a bunch of System of a Down songs as we were learning our instruments together, in like college era kind of thing like that. And I think that kind of affects us now in our quick kind of timing changes and our start-stop sort of jumpy back and forth. We're not afraid to just change in a song rather than have a long bridge to connect everything. Like we obviously do that too at times, but that and Opeth is actually another big influence that you probably wouldn't expect for us. Ben with his vocals, I know he really likes Michael Ackerfeld's clean singing and growls, the combination, and that's kind of something he almost studied for a while, so he took a lot of influence from that. And then obviously there's the big ones, like Conan is probably one of our biggest influences, the big, just massive riffs. And I actually just got to meet Jonathan Davis not too long ago here, and we
oh wow, awesome,
really really hard at Pyramid Scheme, actually the venue the Doomfest was at. But yeah, and obviously like Black Sabbath, the early Sabbath. I think Colby takes a lot of influence from that. We actually engraved on his bass, it says WWGBD. It's what would Geezer Butler do? Because that's kind of like when he's like, I'm not sure what to do for this part, and I was like, what would Geezer Butler do? Wow! Like, exactly, there you go. Like, I'm like, put another one in. I don't care, man. Let's go.
From an Opeth standpoint, nobody does the clean to growl better, and probably ever. Just both the ways they do that. But I have one of my good buddies is probably closer to your age than my age, and he's a huge new metal fan. We're actually going to do a podcast, and it's called Questionable Taste, and it's going to be me at my age making fun of everything that he likes from that side. But I got to ask you,
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore of new metal.
Oh God. So I think I'm probably leaning more towards you now in the making fun of it, and the like. That was something that like was my transition from like classic rock and a little bit of like that kind of stuff to like a little harder stuff. I was listening to Slipknot. I was listening to Linkin Park, System of a Down. There was the Nine Inch Nails before that. Like that was kind of part of the transition. Tool, like all those kind of things. Maybe not necessarily all defined as new metal, but that's just kind of the path I took. And then I started getting more into. I kind of dabbled in punk music for a while, and then I started getting into like the really fast technical death metal stuff. I eventually realized I would not ever attain that level of like musicianship, so I was like, I need to slow way down, and that's how I got into like doom metal. So I think I'd be the worst person to ask about metal. It was like maybe a 2-3 year window where it was just the ones,
I understand. And I feel like, are you a Voivod fan? Because I feel like that would fit into that. Or
a few people have suggested it, but I haven't actually like really sat down and listened to it much. I think I did at one point, and it didn't really grab me immediately, and I haven't thought about it again.
Yeah, some of that stuff's really good. And I joke around about new metal, but there's some good stuff there. Like there's a couple good Korn songs. I will admit. I especially love "Got the Life." Everyone can call me out on my Korn.
I was right there singing along, and like 2001, 2002 to that kind of stuff. So I definitely was into. I haven't listened to it in so long. Like it's almost like that was like my childhood almost.
We went to
childish things.
Well, we went to Welcome to Rockville and 2 years ago, and we go every year now. But Limp Bizkit played, and I'm like, fuck, am I really going to sit through Limp Bizkit? And I just watched like 60,000 people like singing along to these songs and going crazy, and it's time to break shit. And I'm like, there's no like. There's no denying the impact that those bands had.
No, for sure. And I definitely I can respect it. I just think my tastes have like skewed so much away from it now.
I couldn't sit and listen to that.
I did watch something. It was like one of the Limp Bizkit's like big comeback. One of their first shows. I think I watched the whole live thing, and it was very like a good nostalgic like like they're still doing that stuff. Like Westmoreland's an amazing guitar player. Like.
Yeah, it's just it's interesting what's old is new again too with a lot of that stuff, because you're getting a lot of I'm seeing a lot of like 90s influence in a lot of stuff, a ton of stuff that comes out these days too. Like something like I think Satanik Panik sounds like Houdini era Melvins if I'm listening and doing a comparison.
That's definitely a big era of Melvins that we got into, and like one of our earliest covers we did the bit. I forget exactly which album that's on. They have such a huge
there's so many Melvin records. Yes,
I get it all mixed up, but like the Melvins was a big influence on how we kind of got our feel for Bog Wizard. We started off like one of our earliest covers was the bit. A Storm of Light actually too is like kind of a lesser known band, but we learned one of their songs, and that kind of gave me like some of the style of drumming that I got into more, like the real open-handed, real big crack on the snare, like kind of stuff that kind of comes from that band. So it's all a journey.
Is there a version of on the bass you've carved? What would Geezer Butler do? Is there a drummer that influences you, or ones that you would call out as your favorites, or maybe you'll channel when you're looking for some influence or something like that?
It's tough because I think it's a lot of little influences, and like there's bands that I won't listen to them for a year, and I'll go back and I'll be like, oh shit, that's where I got that like drumming idea from. And like some of Elder's earlier stuff, I actually realized kind of recently, I'm like, oh yeah, I do kind of have that style that I play sometimes. But no, like System of a Down's drummer, I'm so terrible with names too, like mind you. And then obviously there's like Bill Ward influence. Oh God, I'm drawing a blank. Jimi Hendrix drummer.
Oh, Mitch Mitchell.
Mitch Mitchell, thank you.
Yeah.
I kind of actually take a little bit from him too in my funkier stuff I play, and it was almost subconsciously, because I was like, I went back and I hadn't listened to Jimi Hendrix in a long time, and I started listening to it, and I was like jamming along, and I was like, oh shit, I do play that. Like, damn. Okay, cool. Like, yeah, that's not like, obviously I'm not quite at that the same technical level, but Like I really, I think that locked in some sort of subconscious part of my brain. And then, oh God, there's somebody else. Nah, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Mitch is great. I love the sound of obviously Hendrix is what everyone, calls out on those, but listening to Mitch Mitchell's drumming and the drum sound that he gets out is just.
I have an oddball one that's a big drumming influence for me, and it's actually Mario Duplantier from Gojira.
Oh, okay.
I'm not
that guy's a monster.
Yeah, he's insane. I'm obviously I don't play that fast style, but I rely on a lot of triplets, and I realized I was doing it, and I was like, where's this coming from? And then I listened, went back and listened to some Gojira, and I was like, oh yeah, everything is a triplet with Gojira. I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense now. I never have one source that I can tie everything back to. It's all these little snippets here and there.
Yeah, I just watched that Sabbath, the final Sabbath show, and watched them when they played. But you cannot not watch the drummer because he's and then you wonder how he's making all of the noise that he is as a human being. It's crazy. You do a cover on this record too, correct?
Yeah.
Tell us about the cover on this record.
This is actually one of my favorite movies as a kid growing up. It's a 1992 movie, Fern Gully. It's got Tim Curry, Robin Williams. It's just this environmentalist animated movie that has just stuck with me as a kid. It has amazing music in it, from Robin Williams rapping to Tim Curry doing way too horny of a song for a kid's movie. And that was the song we covered, is Toxic Love from that movie. And it actually kind of opened us up to some new techniques and stuff like that. I actually learned some new things on the drums for that song, playing a little bluesier than I normally do, and a little more kind of jazz influence almost to my playing. But I've had that cover in the back of my mind for years that I've wanted to do with this band. And I'm glad it took us so long, because I think we're finally proficient enough to do it justice, to be able to have that swing feel to it. And the whole thing, the very last section where it's all growled and it comes back and slower and heavier, that's what's been in my mind for this entire time. And then I brought that idea to Ben, and he's like, well, I don't want to just do it really heavy. I want to do the song. I want to sing like Tim Curry, because it's an amazing song. He's an amazingly expressive singer and person. And he's like, I want to do some of that too. So we kind of found a middle ground, and he got to do that whole beginning section, and I was like, no, this is actually really great. I love the whole song now. And we did just drop a little music video of it too, just this morning actually.
I haven't seen it. I was listening to the record again just to catch up, since we were going to talk today, and I'm like, then I Googled, it says cover, so I got to Google this. And Googling does not get you to Fern Gully when you Google Toxic Love. It doesn't get you anywhere near Fern Gully. So I'm glad I asked, because it's great, and I just didn't know what the source material was. And
I highly recommend checking out the movie. It's very cheesy. It's a very early 90s animated movie, but it's really fun. And it's Robin Williams. This is around the same time I believe he was doing Aladdin.
Yeah, the height of
that's peak him doing this kind of stuff. And he actually, if I recall correctly, he volunteered his time because it was for a cause he believed in. So it was this big environmentalist message on top of it, of this giant pollution monster played by Tim Curry that comes and is trying to attack a village of fairies, and relying on human technology to cut down trees. And it's got a really cool message, and I think it's something that kind of stuck with me as a kid, probably as a foundation for some of my politics even. But yeah, no, it was such a fun song to cover, and we started playing it live now too. We're actually going to play it tomorrow. At
very cool.
And it's such a fun one to bust out, because if you know it, it's absolutely the most exciting thing to hear that metal band's about to cover. And if you don't know, you're like, wait, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, that was, and now I'm very aware of Fern Gully. I guarantee I've seen it before, but now I have to go back and watch Fern Gully. I need to find where it's streaming.
And the music video we did too, I took a bunch of clips, and I was looking back and I was like, man, there's a lot of really metal parts to this movie, where this giant sludge skeleton comes out of the fog and breathes fire, and I guarantee,
I'm going to mention to my wife, I guarantee she's seen it, and she probably loves it. She'll love that cover. Speaking of covers, looking at the album cover for Satanic Panic. There it is.
Too shiny.
But I'm staring. I can't wait to see it when I get my record, because I love the cover, and I love the idea of all these characters sitting around the table. Tell me a little bit about that, if you don't mind, because it's excellent. I love it.
So it was drawn by a buddy of mine, Benjamin Blaholtsen from Sweden. He's somebody who he also did the cover art for our split with Frog Lord.
Love that too. Yeah.
He's kind of my go-to pixel art guy. And we wanted, the idea was, it was almost sort of like dogs playing poker style kind of picture.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be sort of in between, either they're doing some sort of evil ritual around this altar or they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. And I wanted it to be kind of vague. He's got like a DM screen, there's dice and miniatures, but then there's a knife on the table, and there's all these, evil looking creatures. And then all the creatures, for the most part, are throwbacks to previous albums too, like the swamp golems in the top right. The guy in the front left is actually from our Pride t-shirts that we did this year. The fat rat from the back of the From the Mire album is, in the arm of the guy in the back there. So there's like all these references. He went back and looked at a bunch of our old art to do it. And then obviously the Bog Wizard in the front, the back there, chanting something or being very expressive about the moment.
It's great.
He absolutely knocked it out of the park. I love working with him, and he helped make our vision come to life.
Yeah, and I think it's really for what you guys mentioned. Like, you did your photos, and you didn't want to be this big mean metal band, but like, you have fun with it. This is both evil and fun at the same time, which is
pretty much. Shooting for exactly that.
And while I'm sitting on your Bandcamp page, I want to just I want to compliment you for going full Bog Wizard in that picture where you guys are literally in a bog. So I love that
photo shoot not that long ago. Scotty Hulvey was our photographer, our local photographer, who actually has a swamp golem tattoo that they just got on their arm pretty recently.
That's commitment.
Which mind blowing. It's like a local person who's followed us for a long time has been right there with us. They were in high school and they started like, hey, can I come take pictures of your band? We're like, hell yeah. And they've been out like almost every one of our local shows taking pictures. And so we finally got to hire them and do like a photo shoot. The funny part about that picture, if you notice in the middle, Colby is soaking wet. He fell into the swamp about like a minute before that picture was taken. And I told Scotty, I said, if one of us falls, please get a picture of it. So there's a series of pictures of him like, and then like halfway under the water and like, and then he's like, well, I'm committed now. And he sunk up to like his chest for some of the pictures. And yeah.
Love it.
It was an absolute blast doing that photo shoot. And that's one of my favorite pictures out of it. And it was literally just us like, okay, now we got to get out of this. And it was pulling us down and sucking us in because we had these chest high waders. And then Colby, obviously, he like filled those waders up with water too, because he just kept going lower in the water and just filling them. So that was us like not paying any attention, just trying to get out. And
it looks
action shot.
Yeah, it looks very natural. It looks like you guys are literally like, coming up from the bog because you have to in this case.
Some more respect for some of the topics that we talk about, getting like stuck in the swamp. Like we have the song "Stuck in the Muck," and it's just basically about getting stuck in something like that and dying. And it gave me more respect for that kind of thing because I was like, no, this is like, if I stand in one place, I'm shifting lower and lower, and then there's like 3 feet of water that I'm going down into here, and this is like actually kind of dangerous, and we're kicking up bubbles of like swamp gas. And it was
the real deal.
Very, very interesting experience. I think we unearthed some more lore for the Bog Wizard with it.
Yeah, if someone asked me to do that here in Florida, I would decline because I wouldn't want a big alligator to come drag me to my death. Which is
in Michigan, so we just had to worry about leeches.
Also not fun, but I guess survivable. Biggest nightmare of mine is being, as a kid coming to Florida, being dragged into a lake by an alligator. So yeah,
that sounds pretty traumatizing for a kid to consider.
Yeah, awful. This has been awesome, and I want everybody to go and listen to Satanic Panic. I'm gonna. We are recording this on a Tuesday. My goal is to have this out by by Thursday, so everyone can hear this prior to it dropping on Friday. So as you're listening to this, either on Thursday or on Friday, go check out the new Bog Wizard record. If you haven't heard them before, this is a great place to start. I think there's a lot of great stuff on here, and then kind of go from there and start from the beginning to get the whole lore. If you're a fan,
because it's coming out Thursday, Wednesday, yesterday, it'll be on an early premiere at the Obelisk. It'll be
awesome.
The whole thing will be streaming, ready to go. And then Friday is our release day. We're actually going to be playing a hometown local show in Ludington, Michigan, at our tiny little music shop. We're going to be setting up in the back of it, and we're going to be doing an intimate little free show to celebrate the release. And we'll have records on hand if anybody wants to make the trip this far up. It's going to be a blast, and we're going to play almost the entire album live.
That's awesome. I think one of the things that I have really respected about you guys from when I kind of started to get back into the stuff that you guys do musically, and just like the Bandcamp era and the online stuff, you guys have been so good at it. Like, I feel like you guys have embraced it and done a really good job just self-promoting and doing all that stuff.
Thing, because like our From the Mire was supposed to come out, it came out in July of 2020. And as we were preparing like 2019, recording it and getting it all ready, I was like, okay, we're going to hit it so hard, and I'm going to try to set up a tour, and I'm going to try to get all this stuff going. We're going to get shows and all this. And then obviously plans dramatically changed. So I was like, okay, let's pivot here. We obviously have to be an online kind of focused band. So we tried to do dabbled in live streaming our shows and focusing on that kind of thing. And it's been a better space for us. We're not going to have the ability to go on these month-long tours like some other bands. So the next best thing is what we're doing now, and it's just kind of making our music, doing shows when we can, getting out as far as we can, and then coming back home and writing more music.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm a big fan. Been a fan for you guys for a long time. Very excited for everybody to hear this record. It's called Satanik Panik. It comes out on Halloween. And if you don't have it now, go pre-order it. Harlen was nice enough to say that my record has been packaged and should be dropped at the USPS soon. But thank you, Harlen. And say hi to the other guys for me. Love to have those guys on with you next time we talk to you. But congratulations on the new record. I think people are going to love it. And good luck in your upcoming shows and your little show that you're doing, your record release party. I don't mean little as in not important, but smaller show. But then this big show that you're doing, opening up for Atomic Bitchwax and and Crowbot. Very cool stuff. Thank you, Harlen. Have a great rest of your day. Everybody go listen to Bog Wizard, and good night, everybody. Thank you.